What's up, guys? It's Luca here, back with the Raptors video. Hope you're all doing well. If you're looking for my day-to-day Raptors content, just a reminder, you can find that at the Raptors Nation YouTube channel. On this channel, I'm looking to do a live stream soon, probably towards the end of this week, early next week, as I'm going to be looking at all of the Raptors trade rumors ahead of the February 6th trade deadline, which I was just looking at the calendar, is next week. So it's literally right around the corner. But in this one, I wanted to talk about the Raptors and them turning things around. I did not expect this. This is a team that has played their best stretch of basketball of the season. They've won 4 games in a row. They've won 6 of their last 7. They have a 7-6 record in the month of January. And it's wild, right? Because I go back to when the Raptors had that 5-game losing streak. They just lost to the Detroit Pistons, and then all of a sudden, they had a pretty tough stretch ahead, and then they had the bad news of Emmanuel Quickley going down again with injury, this time his hip. And at that point, I'm like, the Raptors are toast. Like, they're going to bottom out. There's no way they're going to be able to survive here or look good without Quickley. And then what do the Raptors do, guys? They string together 6 wins in 7 games, including this current 4-game winning streak. It is crazy, and it's been primarily thanks to a Raptors defense that went from being historically bad to now a top defense over this most recent stretch of games. The Raptors have the number 2 defense in the league over their last 7 games. And it's been the rejuvenated play of their bench. Bench mob is finally back, it seems, as it's been a combination of Bruce Brown, Chris Boucher, Jamal Shead, Kelly Olynyk. Like, the Raptors are finally getting contributions from their bench. Namely Chris Boucher, who has been unbelievable. Like, you talk about a turnaround from this Raptors team. How about the turnaround from Chris Boucher? This is a dude that was completely out of the Raptors rotation. He gets random garbage time minutes in that game against the Knicks earlier in the month. He goes off, and then from there, he is just put together a solid stretch, including his latest 3-game stretch. He has really been a spark for this team from off the bench, and with the increased bench play, the improvement defensively, this team is all of a sudden winning games. And you look at the defense, you got to give a lot of credit to Davion Mitchell, because it's crazy to me that the Raptors are now 6-1 without Emmanuel Quickley. And since they put Davion Mitchell in the starting lineup, they have looked really good defensively. It's created more balance with this team. And there are questions now about if Grady Dick and Emmanuel Quickley can be a competent defensive backcourt, or if there's a liability there. And I don't want to get too much into the Quickley stuff, but all I'm going to say is this. It's not a good look for Emmanuel Quickley that he hasn't been able to stay healthy. Basically, the first year of that mega contract that he signed has been burned into, and now the Raptors look really good with Davion Mitchell in the starting lineup. So, coincidence or not, I just find it very, very crazy that the Raptors are starting to play their best ball of the season with IQ sideline. And I actually feel for IQ, because if he comes back and this team starts losing, that's going to create so many narratives. But let's look at the big picture of this team, because that's the point of me making this video. It's nice that the Raptors are starting to win. It's nice that they're building good habits. And let's be real, watching these games, how they're unfolding, it's fun. But I feel like this team is starting to lose sight of what's really important. And that's draft lottery positioning. Not too long ago, the Raptors had the 2nd worst record in the NBA. And again, coming off that 5-game losing streak, you lose IQ. Things look pretty good from that perspective, that the Raptors were going to continue to stay at the bottom and give themselves the best shot at least the top 3 pick in the upcoming draft. The way the team's playing, and with how they're competing out there, Scottie Barnes has been playing arguably his best stretch. Like, we're seeing phenomenal 2-way play from Barnes. He's clicking with RJ. Jakob Poeltl has been solid for this team. The Raptors, they all of a sudden have moved up in the reverse standings. The Raptors are now 6th in the reverse standings, And they got a matchup against the Wizards upcoming, and they got a matchup against the Bulls. I said on X, and I'll say it here, I'm starting to mentally prepare myself that this Raptors team, the tank's over, and this team's going for the play-in, because let's just say they beat the Wizards, and then they beat the Bulls, who, by the way, at the time of this recording, they're only 5.5 games back of the Bulls for that final play-in spot. The Raptors, they can't lose sight of what matters here. I know you want to talk about building good habits, the winning culture, forget about the loser mentality, but this Raptors team, they can't fumble this draft. They fumbled the Wemby draft by going for it then. In last year's draft class, which was considered one of the weakest in years, they actually tanked properly. And now that we have another very good draft class, just like that Wemby draft class with Cooper Flagg being the blue chip prospect, it seems like the Raptors are starting to fumble this. So the Raptors can't make this mistake. They have to put themselves in the best position of acquiring a top draft pick. I'm still a firm believer of that. And how do you do that? We're going to see what this team does at the trade deadline. I think it's going to be telling of where this team's intention really lies. Because how you get worse, you offload some of those bench pieces. You offload some of those veterans who have been helping you win games. Chris Boucher, he's starting to get a lot of interest. Michael Scotto put out a report that multiple teams are interested in him, including the Clippers, Nuggets, Knicks, Olynyk, Bruce Brown. It's going to be tough to move him because of his contract, but remember, it's been reported that the Raptors are looking to get involved in a larger Jimmy Butler trade where they could be a facilitator with those valuable expiring contracts and then get paid with draft compensation. But if the Raptors go the other way, all of a sudden they lose focus of that and they go for the play-in. And yeah, they give their players valuable reps, but really, like, don't even take my word for it. Masai Ujiri said it himself, like, playing for what? You go one and done, and then you basically ruin what could have been if you had just played the draft lottery game. And I get it, it's tough because the Raptors are really in that tricky position where they got such a young, hungry team. And how can you honestly ask these guys to stay down? Scotty Barnes, he's playing every game. He's wearing his heart on his sleeve. He's focused. He's reinvigorated. It's great to see. And you don't want to hinder progress that way. But at the same time, you got to keep the big picture in mind. If the Raptors fumble this and go for the play-in, it might keep them in purgatory moving forward where they could be in a really good spot if they do it right, get a top talent, and then they're really cooking moving forward. So I've been vocal with my stance on this. I think the Raptors got to play the draft lottery game. I think it's going to be difficult, though, looking at it from the other perspective, because there's an upcoming tough stretch. But then after that, I mean, the Raptors' back end of the schedule to close things out is fairly easy. They got a bunch more matchups coming up against the Wizards. So yeah, I think it's going to come down to what this team does at the trade deadline, because I think right now that's the only way, if they do want to salvage the tank, to keep this team worse by trading guys like Boucher, Brown, Olynyk. They're not going to trade Poeltl. That's been reported that they hope to keep Poeltl in terms of bouncing back next season. So that makes a ton of sense. But right now, I mean, I did not see this coming. I thought the Raptors had a clear as day path to a bottom record and a top 3, top 5 pick. But now it's starting to look like they're in jeopardy of blowing that if they keep winning these games and stringing together W after W. We'll see if Masai's got something up his sleeve to stop that at the deadline of breaking this team up, or if he has other ideas, because you never know with this team. But that's just my take on things, guys. Let me know your thoughts. How do you feel about the Raptors winning all of a sudden? Let me know your thoughts. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. That's it for me. It's Luke signing off. Thanks so much for watching. I will catch you all again in the next one.